Pick a card. Why do people stare at you? Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you at your reading. Hi friends, my name is Grisel with Psychic MD, and I'm here to do another pick a card reading for you. I'm going to go ahead and light some sagey sage while you take a look at your options. This is pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. So get an eyeful. Hello. Fire. No fire? Ah, fire. Alrighty. So I'd like to take a moment to welcome everyone to my channel. Welcome those of you that are repeat offenders. Thank you so much for showing back up. And for those of you new to my channel, thank you so much, you guys, for your interest and your support. So today we're going to be looking at why do people stare at you? And we want to know specifically, what are they thinking and what are they feeling and anything else that may come up. So once again, take a look at your piles and I will reach you at your reading. Hi pile 1, my name is Grisel with Psychic MD, and I'm here to do your reading. For those of you that selected this lovely eyeball, this right here, this reading is for you. I'm going to go ahead and ring the bell just to clear out any and all residual energy. And 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we're going to find out, why do people stare at you? Pile 1, why do people stare at you? We have triumph, success, triumphant success. Why do they stare at pile number 1? And one more for good measure. Okay. Let's see if we can angle this differently. So pile number 1, people stare at you because you seem to be, for all physical intensive purposes, at first glance, you seem to be a little bit intense. I feel like you even look like someone that nobody wants to mess around with. In the sentiment that they don't want to take you on, right? So I remember once upon a time, someone had said, oh, about Grisel, me, I would not want to meet her at about in a dark alley or something like that. So there could be something a little bit threatening about you, or a little bit intimidating, or something to the effect that you can handle your own, right? That's what I'm getting, first of all. Also, you appear to be very direct and to the point, like somebody that you're not going to tap dance around issues. You're going to be a little bit cutthroat about it. That's on first appearances. And in my mind's eye, I'm going to say that you like to wear quite a bit of black, maybe even shades of black. And if you get really super adventurous, you might do other colors every now and then, such as like a dark gray or something like that. But something about you communicates intensity. Also, why people stare at you. It says material and spiritual prosperity. So you could appear to have it all. It could be anything from what you drive, how you dress, but most of all, even though this is talking about material and spiritual prosperity, I feel like for you, pile number 1, it's most of all, more than anything, how you carry yourself. Because the same people, you know, anyone can drive the same vehicle you do, or dress in the manner that you do, but nobody's going to carry that vehicle. Nobody's going to carry those threads the way you do. The way you walk, the way you glide through a room is what I'm feeling. And also I feel like when you walk with purpose. That could be another thing. One thing that I'm noticing is that this person's hands, they're splaying. They're kind of like claiming their space. And it's no different than when you splay your legs to kind of claim that area, right? And I feel like that's an assertion of like dominance. So people can really look at you and appear to be dominant. You could have very direct eye stare. I know that this eye is looking up. Have mercy. It's my first try, okay? But I'm going to say that you could have a very direct stare and people can feel intimidated or kind of like they want to squirm from under your scrutiny or something to that effect. Now, this one is quite interesting. Is conflict and defeat. And I feel like what this is saying more than anything, that people don't want to encounter you. Again, to be on the wrong side of that sword, they don't want to be against you, because I feel like they intuitively know that you could potentially like defeat them, or the type of heat that they would encounter with you, they don't want any part of. Okay, so I think that you are someone who can bring a lot of fluctuations into people's lives. I'm also looking at like the images burned into a wall right here, like this little ghostly figure of them running up the stairs into the light, and this person like running down in despair, and a candle right here, right, highlighting the whole thing. So I feel like with the number 5 is a lot of changes and fluctuations. I feel like you look like someone who's, again, fully capable. I feel like physical, mental, and even spiritual agility. I think that people understand that you are spiritually protected even. So you might look the part of somebody who's just like tough. You might have a lot of like tattoos. Your physique might just communicate, hey, you know, I can take you to the mat if I have to, that kind of a thing. But also I feel like with the level of a success, however people define success, and yeah, it could be a nice car, it could be a fat bank account, it could be whatever. But most of all, I feel like you're communicating it with your demeanor, and you're leaning most of all on spiritual prosperity. I don't see like any houses, any cars parked out here. I see abundance with like growth, and I see even like a road before this person. Most of all, I see clothing. Of course, that's a little bit unusual, quite different. And I'm looking at the number 6 right here. To me, this is always like victory. And we have a jumper. So people stare at you because in a lot of ways, I feel like they can see emotion in your eyes as well. In spite of, like, you could be a little bit like, have a combative spirit. But also at times I feel like you could appear to be lost in thought or emotional or like super reflective, reflecting maybe on past things that have happened or on people that you love, or I don't know what. But I feel like that catches people's attention more often than not. And it could be something that you're not totally 100% aware of, but you could be known to slip into thought, into like deep thought, and the shadow of sadness can overcome your eyes, and people can really stare at you because that's like quite alluring, and it seems to be a contradiction. Excuse me. With the King of Hearts right here, I feel like people also stare at you because they want to know what you're thinking, and they can see a lot of emotion in there. When you withdraw and when you go into like your little trance state or whatever it is, because it happens to me quite a bit too. I feel like people wonder what is going on in, you know, like behind those eyes. What is it that you are thinking about that's causing your eyes to shift and cause a lot of emotion to pull through? So sorry. I also feel like people wonder about what you're speaking of. It's almost like I was fine before I started this reading, and now I'm coughing and I can't clear my throat chakra. So perhaps this is stating that they wonder at what you have to say, and what you sound like. If these are people walking by you out and about in town or in grocery store or whatever, I feel like they wonder like what you would sound like if they actually had a conversation with you. What would you talk about? What would you discuss? But most of all, I feel like people stare at you because they wonder how to get closer to you. And that's, for me, that's a little bit unexpected. I wasn't expecting that. Pile number 1. Let's see what else we have here. With the 3 of diamonds, this is the 3 of pentacles. Also, I feel like people wonder because you seem very solitary, very like I don't want to say self-engaged, but self-sufficient, I guess. I feel like the 9 of pentacles would be here. if I had to choose another card to represent the vibe, and this is like, you know, you take care of yourself, you are the master of your own destiny, of your own currency, and you are somebody who really has an eye for style and for making things grow. But I feel like they want to be like people looking at you. They stare at you because they would like to know more about you. They want to get more behind the mystery, and it's very puzzling to them, like how to get close to you, first of all. But even those that are close to you, they would like to know how to get behind those eyes and get into your brain and get into your thoughts. And would you be cooperative with that? Would you cooperate with that idea? So why do people stare at you? What are they thinking? I think we covered that. Okay, so I feel like when people meet you, they get this like ooey gooey feeling, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I met pile number one, or I walked by them, or she glanced at me, they stared at me, they looked at me. And in fact, you could just be glancing around them, or I don't know how to explain it, but I can kind of, if you loosen your gaze, if you're standing still, of course not if you're in motion, but you can have like that far off gaze where you actually kind of dip into a trance. And so people are, you know, sometimes mistaken your gaze for something that's a lot more personal than what it initially is. And it might take them a while to really figure out that you weren't necessarily like gazing at them. Now, this is not like no shade on your part or anything like that, or anyone else's. But I'm going to say that when you do look at people as well, they could feel tingly. They could feel special. I mean, this person is like bathed in literal stars right here, and she's a little fairy. So this could be like somebody who's like cute, and you know, fairies, and I don't know a ton about them, but I would guess that they're more, you know, in the 3D, more like in our atmosphere, that kind of a thing. But then we have these like beautiful stars right here, and I feel like you send people almost to a different dimension with like, wow, I can't believe this person is interested in me, and they're like looking at me. You can inspire a little bit of fear, but a little bit also of that ooey gooey feeling. I don't know what else, like a romantic feeling almost. Yeah. Go the distance. So when people stare at you, what they're thinking is, could they go the distance with you? And do they have what it takes to catch you? It's almost like even this cheetah is jumping to the finish line, and it's dissolving in mid-jump. And I feel like this is almost saying that, would they have the energy or the capacity or the mental agility? Because you just seem really smart. I don't know if it's like maybe you wear glasses, maybe you have that Poindexter look, or maybe you walk around carrying like a dictionary, or maybe literally your nose is in a book at all times. I mean, any of those things can really kind of, I heard turn on. So I feel we're going to make this a little bit 18 plus. Why not? So I feel like people could be really, really drawn to you physically, really attracted to you physically, and they would like to know how could they make you jump as well. Also, since we're making it 18 plus, I haven't done one of these in like forever and a million. I'm going to say that people wonder what you look like when you when you reach your destination, if you know what I'm saying. For 18 plus, I'm going to say that when you're intimate with someone, people wonder what it would be like to see you kind of like climax, or, you know, reach the goal, all of those euphemisms I'm just going to say. So people stare at you because they wonder what it would like to bed you, not necessarily wed you, okay? With the Two of Swords right here, people are really curious to find out, because it seems like you do carry like a badge of sorrow with you. Or it's like sorrow is a constant companion. You could have had a lot of like tough things happening in life, and that can pull through. You know, they do talk about the eyes being the window to the soul and things like that. But let's see what they're feeling. What are people feeling besides like, you know, tingling and wanting to take it? They want to take it to like from 0 to hero, because I think the cheetah has that ability to sprint and just be super fast almost before you know it. So I never noticed that on this cheetah card there actually reflected some stars in the sand as well. And so she's like full of stars right here. So I think that you can draw a lot of eyes to you by people that aren't normally like their first go-to isn't necessarily, oh, I wonder what she would be like in bed, or he would be like. I wonder, they don't think things like that by nature, but I think that's something about you, and I heard the word svelte. So your movements, again, and just the essence of you prompts those feelings and those thoughts. So what are they feeling? They're feeling that you are very, I hate when people sigh into the microphone. I just did it. I'm like, can I edit this out? So with the Queen of Pentacles right here, I feel like you are, in a lot of ways, somebody who people can come towards, who can really talk and discuss and get really like personal, like you welcome, almost like you're a fixer. You welcome that notion where if people need something or whatnot, they can come and have a discussion with you and tell you what they need and what they're thinking and things like that. But I feel like you absolutely do not reciprocate. And the feeling here is, how do I get them to be reciprocal in this feeling? Like I want to feel all these feelings with pile number one, whether appropriate or not. How do I get them to get the feelings too? One moment, please. And we're back. So yeah, they just wonder. It's like they wonder. I feel like a lot of people that have been like high and dry, or maybe they've been celibate, or it's been a long time since they've had any interaction, like I wanted to say like human interaction, or like any romantic encounters at all, however you want to phrase it. Okay, but they wonder what it would be like to, you know, oh goodness, yeah, my cards are all jumping. They wonder what it would be like to jump in bed with you. I'm not gonna lie here. So we have the Queen of Swords right here. They wonder if this like mental agility would translate into a romantic thing, and what would that look like? Are you like super analytical? Are you really good with anatomy? Are you super aware of, like, I feel like they know that you're into maybe psychology and things like that. So they wonder if you can incorporate like the psychology with the anatomy and have like an experience beyond anything that they've experienced before. And this is what people are feeling. And I'm going to tell you, pile number one, I feel like that's not limited to just look. That's not limited to just male or female. I feel like it's both. Both sexes look at you like that, even if they don't intend on doing anything about it. And even if they don't typically, quote, swing that way, okay? So we have, yeah, the Seven of Cups right here. People look at you and know that you have a lot of options. They're definitely interested in the options that you've had in the past. If you don't currently like parade around a partner or something like that, I feel like people want to know like what type of person does he or she date? What do they like to do with their partner? What type of partner is somebody who would catch pile number one's eye and things like that? So what are they feeling? Last card for you. Recognition and reward. So I feel like when people look at you, especially with the number three, again, I feel like people want to kind of collaborate and they somehow want to feel like useful to you. They want to be seen by you. But I feel like your eye shining on them, it sounds really funny, but I hear the angels go, whoa, you know? I think that even if you took a moment to just like look at someone in the face, that recognition of just looking at someone in the eye and unwavering and being able to accept what they have to say and things like that, that would be of highest of honor. And the second highest honor is to be able to cooperate or throw in the lot with you and to be able to be like part of your community. Because I feel like with the number three, that is all about cooperation, collaboration, with all of the cogs working together, right? In order to get three cogs to work together, you have to have the cogs placed, you know, pretty close so that they're touching basically. And when one goes, the other ones are going to automatically spin. And with that, I'm thinking of like the triangle, and that's like, I think that one of the strongest structures known. And I'm going to say that they just, people look at you and they want to know, can they form that strong structure with you? Now, this could be like a triad or whatever, but I feel like this is just some way, somehow, them thinking that they can kind of cooperate and be acknowledged. And I feel like they would just feel high honor with you some way, somehow. So this, I mean, it made sense to me. Let me know what you think about this. I'm very curious about that, but thank you so much, and much, much love to you. Until next time, namaste. Hi, pile number 2. My name is Grisel with Psychic MD, and I'm here to do another pick a card reading. Pile number 2, or pick an eyeball, right? Why do people stare at you? I'm going to go ahead and ring the bell to cleanse any and all other vibration in 3, 2, 1. So pile number 2. Why do people stare at you? I'd like 3 cards for pile number 2, please. Why do people stare at you? I almost dumped all the cards on there. I feel like it's like, how can I not stare at pile number 2? Oh. So pile number 2, first of all, I feel like you exude authority. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in this manner of, you know, just like crossing your arm and be like super stoic or anything like that. But intuitively, I feel like when people look at you, they look at you because you walk with authority. You speak with authority, the way you carry yourself, the way that you request things. If you have to stand in a line or something like that, I feel like they look at you and kind of know that you're not used to waiting for much of anything. That's one thing I will say. With the number 4, and I'm looking, this gives me a lot of like Caesar, you know, way back when, those kind of vibes for some, well, I mean, okay, the crown, that makes sense. But I feel like you are very well, people look at you and they feel like you're established. You come from wealth. You come from family that has authority and has had authority for generations. That's another thing. Now, I'm going to say also that you're definitely seen as somebody who's going to call the shots. And it doesn't have to be like in a mean way, but again, the way that you carry yourself definitely carries a lot of authority. I'm looking right now into the forest, my other divination form, and when I soft my eyes, I'm looking at another eyeball looking back at me. It's very similar to this in color, so you could have light colored eyes or eye color that's a little bit different than usual, than brown, I guess I would say. And people stare at you because it seems to them that when you walk through like a door, it's almost like a public announcement, and they're all like, dun dun dun. Pile number 2 has entered the building. Everybody drop your stuff. And, you know, I don't want to say like bend a knee to the queen or king, but a little bit like that. I feel like when you walk in, you could be a little bit like razzle dazzle. You could be dressing sharp. You could be a snappy dresser. Yeah, somebody who likes fashion, who maybe likes glitter, who likes their bling, if you will. But most of all, I feel like you dress with class, with sass, and the most expensive thing that you wear is your confidence. So you appear to have a ton of self-confidence. It's extremely attractive to people. Now, people stare at you, and what they're thinking is how you could pretty much have anybody in the room. I'm going to say it just like that. This is an 18 plus. If y'all don't want to hear it, click off. That's fine. But I'm going to say that if you were to set your eyes on anyone in the room, you can call it. You're like, yep, I want that one, or I want that one, or maybe both. I don't know your life, right? But I'm going to say that you could just pop up in the middle of no man's land, and with one look, you can pretty much have whatever it is. I think that people would rush towards your feet to have everything like, oh, you want this? And oh, we're going to close in 20 minutes. Oh, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and order like a 3-course meal, and we're going to treat you kindly, and we're excited to do it, even though we're exhausted. But just looking at you and being able to serve you is kind of a thing. It's a whole vibe. I feel like pile number 2, you are a whole vibe. Stand your ground. So I feel like not only do you get announced with your own presence, and that sounds like weird and kind of a contradiction, but something about you definitely brings, you could have light colored hair, light colored eyes. You could be very svelte, but also have like a lot of bling, or maybe wear a lot of jewelry that attracts the attention of people as well. And also very assertive. So when you're speaking not only with authority, but you're like, I'm here to do this, and this is how it's going to happen. So I'm not taking no for an answer. That's not even on the option. That's not even on the menu. So keep that moving, get that out of your head, and how are we going to resolve this? That kind of a thing. You might walk into places with a certain authority. And some people might be also like a little bit, I feel like kind of bashful around you because they want to like stare, but also similar to pile 1, intimidated as well. I feel like you're a lot more vocal than pile number 1 though. I feel like they're a little bit of a dark power about them, a bit subdued, a little bit feeling like dangerous. And with your vibe, I feel like this is like out in the open and I'm demanding this and this is how it's going to happen, and it will happen. And also your looks are so attractive. I'm going to say that it's just people will kind of break their neck trying to look at you, which is funny because I think that you can tell. You always know that. Pile number 2, I also feel like you smell rich. Okay, there's no other way to put that. You probably smell super good. People wonder at other things that you're good at, so you probably smell good, taste good, all the goods, right? I feel like people would love to just be around your energy simply because they feel like some of that might rub off on them, right, through association. And that could be a flex for people as well. Now, the one thing I want to say about you, pile number 2, is that this isn't like a flex per se, but I feel like you're going to lean into that if you need to in order to make happen what you got to do. You do what you got to do and you make no apologies about it. Now, I feel like you've seen some dark times, and people can see that as well because maybe you could be a little bit heavy-handed once in a while, but I feel like that's not like the consensus for 90% of the people out there. So why do people stare at pile number 2? What are they thinking here? Flexible. You could appear to have a very svelte body. They could wonder how flexible you are. They wonder also if they, if you're like of childbearing years, they could wonder what it would be like to have a child with you, to conceive with you, that kind of a thing. If they could have an impact on you, how flexible you would be when you are having intimate moments. That could flash through people's eyes as well. With the number 19, I feel like those thoughts are going to like flash through their mind, but I also feel like just as quickly as it does, they dispel it immediately because this rounds up to a 10. And then it goes back to a 1. And I feel like people think that you would catch on because you have a way of looking through people into their soul. And they don't want to be caught thinking about like, yeah, I wonder if she would be really flexible, or if they would, whatever. That kind of a thing. They don't want to be caught thinking those thoughts and knowing that you can probably discern what they're thinking about. Yeah, deep knowing. So pile number 2, you definitely have a deep knowing about you. I feel like at times you can kind of tone things down, but you feel very summery, very sunny. And you could have a lot of strength that people would underestimate about you as well. People wonder what you know. That's another thing. Happy. You could be somebody who is extremely cheerful. Yeah, I have one, let's see, 2 girlfriends that are very similar to this vibe. I'm curious to find out if this would be their pile. But anyways, I feel like pile number 2, you're known for somebody who's like exuding happiness, but you're always up to something. You're always creating. You're always like manifesting different things that people aren't really clear about, because you could see like the baby's face in here if you look close enough, but they're not sure what it is that you're birthing. They always think that you're sitting on something that you're not quite telling them. Also, I feel like you can get a lot of like light codes, a lot of messages directly from spirit. And I feel like people can look at you actually and think, wow, she looks like an angel. He looks like an angel. But then also wonder about your darker side. They wonder if they could have authority, if you would be willing to give them authority over you as well, because you have such boss energy. They wonder if you would let them take the lead in the bedroom, if you know what I'm saying, right? Loyal heart. Pile number 2, I feel like also people look at you and they wonder, like, what does it take to be picked number 1 by number 2? That sounds weird, but pile number 2, what would it take to be chosen by you? First of all, what kind of a person? But also, would you be loyal if they chose, if you got into a partnership, that kind of a thing? Because I feel like they can see love is in the air with you. They feel that loyalty. They feel like even you have like different keys you can unlock. You could be the ultimate power couple. Now with the 3, people would wonder if there is somebody else around you that maybe you're not speaking on, because there seems to be some hidden subtlety or some hidden doubt about what people think about your romantic life. People can wonder if you have somebody already, and if they got involved with you, would you be loyal to the, you know, to them exclusively, or do you have someone else? I mean, maybe you're into like having a poly family, or you want multiple lovers. They don't know, and they don't want to get hurt, and that's another thing they think about. The number 5 right here, I feel like people instinctively, just by looking at you and staring at you, and all these things are like flashing quickly into a person's mind, and I feel like they think, well, you know, can we have like a partnership, and will this be a loyal person to me? But most of all, I feel like you seem unattainable. Quite interesting. Regeneration. So you could go through some storm. You might have a little bit of a temper, because even with this success card back here, I caught this like moodiness. Okay, you could sometimes be a little bit moody, or have a temper about you, or a feistiness that doesn't really show up, but it shows up on occasion if people are around you long enough. And so people wonder about that, and I see almost like stars or tears or something like that, and then a lot of fire right here. So you could be like really fiery in nature and catch people on like they didn't expect it, kind of a thing. And that could actually be a turn on, because they're like, well, I don't know if we're gonna like make sweet love and I don't know, like hold each other at the end of it, or maybe, you know, some tears are had at the very end, or if it's going to be like super fiery or culmination of things. But I'm definitely intrigued, and I feel like that's how people look at you. Okay, I gotta move this away and flip the cards, because I will take them all. So that's what they're thinking. For pile number 2, why do people stare at you? What are they feeling? I feel like there's some excitement, a little bit of like starstruckness. What are they feeling? Yep, 9 of Pentacles. Wow, it's like you got it going on, baby. Whoever you are, male, female, doesn't make a difference. I read energy, not sex. And the 10 of Cups, yeah, you are like everybody's dream girl, dream guy. And people can't, you know, and they're like, well, who am I to catch the gaze of a star? But that's what it's feeling like. You also put people on pause. It's like your security is more important than that, but also you'll like disappear. You'll take some time to decompress, and that is quite fascinating for people. And they wonder, it's like they're feeling like left out if you pull apart from people. Queen of Swords, yeah, you're incredibly intelligent as well. Not a surprise at all to me. You could have maybe resonated a little bit with pile number 1 as well. What are people feeling when they look at you? Why do people stare at you? Pile number 2. Here and now. Here and now, rock me like a hurricane. You know I had to. Building blocks. Yeah. So people wonder if you would rock them like a hurricane. If in your ability to have that quicksilver emotion, are you going to kind of, you know, take them all over the world? I feel like, yeah, you could really rock people's world, and they could not have any idea what that's going to look like. I feel like they also think that you can take them not only places, maybe like traveling and things like that. I feel like people think you travel quite a bit, but also that you would take them places like in the boudoir that they would never have thought of like going or doing, things like that. I feel a little bit of like an exoticness there. So they could wonder like what type of intimacy are you into? And why do people stare? What are they feeling? I feel like they just immediately kind of fall in love with your community. Yeah, they want you to be a part of their community. They wonder, this for a minute, fraction of a second, looked like a Rubik's Cube peeking up from there. So they kind of like want a Rubik's Cube you, and to try to figure out if there's something that they can like get close to, even to bathe in your existence, right? To bathe in your light. They just kind of want to be around that happiness and that like openness and that high energy vibe that you have. They feel a kinship with you. I feel also that when they're looking at you, they feel like they could feel a little bit high, actually. Have you ever been around someone like that where you just kind of feel high? Which is a kind of a funny way to put it, but it's almost like they get a buzz around from being around you. Chaos and conflict, yeah. So pile number 2, you could cause people to really question fundamentally like who they are, what they are. I feel like you elicit a lot of ideas in people, things about like sacred geometry and the 5D and what does that look like, and can you really create portals that are opening up in somebody's bedroom and film it and have that be a legit thing. Or but I feel like you cause chaos and conflict because it's like this zebra is part giraffe, right? We have the giraffe here. The giraffe has the ability to like pick fruit from on high and leaves way up on high, and the ability to look from a greater distance and see kind of an aerial view of what's going on. So do the birds, right? But people feel conflicted when they come around you. I feel like you might elicit also with the 3-3 a lot of competition, a lot of jealousy, and a lot of people that like want to compete with you, or a lot of people that are afraid that you're going to be stealing their man or their girl, that kind of a thing. So unfortunately, that is like the drawback to having your energy as well. I feel like you are well versed, well experienced in this. Yeah, so you could attract the evil eye even without wanting to or needing anything about it. You know, you're like, I'm just here to pick up my order of whatever, and people want to throw shade. But I kid you not, pile number 2, you're definitely seen as triumphant. They see that you are successful, super successful, and also not afraid to get dirty. I mean, take that however you will. This is an 18 plus. I feel like people know that you can get down with the best of them. Okay. People wonder what it would be like if they could mess up your hair, that kind of a thing. They would like to see your hair down, let your hair down a little bit more. They would see, they would like to see, you know, what it is to see you in the buck, just as you were created in your birthday suit. Okay. So that's what I have for you. Let me know what you think about this kind of reading. If you like it, please do give me a like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications because the YouTube gods have actually turned those off about 2 years ago. So you'll have to actively turn them on again and double check in your feed, not just for my channel, but all the channels, which is probably why you haven't seen a lot of us in a long time. So with that, I will see you next time. Much love to you. Namaste. Hi, pile number 3. My name is Griselle with Psychic MD, and I'm here to do your reading. Before I get to it, I'm going to ring the bell to clear out the energy in 3, 2, 1. And pile number 3, and thank you so much of those of you that are new subscribers, new to my channel. I really appreciate it. And for those of you that are indeed repeat offenders, thank you so much for returning. Pile number 3, this is the eye that you chose. Now this one, I haven't like finished it. It's just a little bit coarse, but you get the gist of it, right? I'm not sure how it's going to turn out by the time I'm done with it. But pile number 3, why do people stare at you? Why do people stare at me? So you speak truth. You spin facts. You could be somebody who is very popular in your circle. You could be like popular in your hometown, that kind of a thing. People stare at you because I feel like they've heard about you. I feel like you are like popular loner or popular in your community, that kind of a thing. People have seen you, been around you. They've asked a lot of questions about you as well. And I think that that's intriguing to them. So people stare at you when they see you and they're like, oh my gosh, there's the legendary. Pile number 3, we've heard about you. Yeah, that's what's up. We've heard about you on the internet, from our friends. We've heard about you from, you know, whatever, from work. And people like, oh, I know pile number 3. Oh, you know that person? Yeah, they're friends with so-and-so. Well, what are they doing? And they seem kind of intriguing. And when they see you, I heard magnetic. So when they see you face to face, you're even more magnetic. Okay, so you're somebody that people want to invite. They want to invite to parties, to get-togethers, to any kind of celebration. You're the kind of person that people want to say, you know, oh yeah, I hung out with pile number 3 and we did XYZ, things like that. They want to be I heard in your warm embrace. That's kind of weird. That's what I got for opening this up to like 18 plus messages. But okay, let's see where this goes. Pile number 3. Why do people stare at you? Why do people stare at you? Well, you definitely have a shadow side, okay? You could like a little bit you could be a little bit gothic, like dark colors, a little bit Victorian, or you could be attracted to Victorian era. That would be a thing as well. I feel like whatever it is that you do, there's some like opulence associated with you. I also feel, and it doesn't necessarily mean like you're rich or you're what, but you have an eye for thread count, for quality on material, or you have a way of finding outfits and putting things together that really just work. And maybe you're somebody that people like to like celebrate and want to be around you because you are a solitary person, because you are a loner. And with this, I always think of like a chess piece, and I'm not good with chess, so I don't know if that would be the rook or what kind of a piece that is. You can put it in the comments if you have an idea. But I feel like people could see you maybe online with the number 21, the World Wide Web, I'm gonna call that. But they know that you spend a lot of time in solitude. And maybe perhaps you are about your bag, trying to get that bag, trying to keep that bag, and trying to really ascend in your spiritual practices in order for you to really just continue growing. I feel like you're not really necessarily focused on the 3D stuff and like the vehicle and the this and the that. And I mean, you could be, that could be part of it, but I feel like that's just kind of to sustain you because you have your mind on higher things, right? With the shadow side right here, I feel like you've done a lot of shadow work, and I think that it shows. People are intrigued because you don't present yourself like anyone else that they have ever met before, if they happen to be lucky enough to meet you. So people stare at you, and I feel like they're a little bit like starstruck, but a little bit intimidated as well, like this kind of flipped over, co-create. Yeah, they feel like people stare at you because it seems like you have all the answers and you're really close to spirit. You almost have like Hierophant vibes, like you have the ability to be close with spirit, and it's like you don't need anyone. You have your solitude and your companionship with spirit, and I feel like you don't need a lot of like excess, but I do feel like people around you would invite you. And the allure is, I mean, even this eyeball that I haven't finished, it's got a lot of like lines to look at, a lot of curves to look at. The color is intense as well, but it isn't super overly done just yet because I'm not done with it. And pile number 3, I'm just going to say that in the same manner, people are really wanting to kind of rub elbows with you, but they don't really know what that would look like or how to bring that about. And they would be happy just to have a drink with you, or to, you know, catch a movie or do something that they feel like they can really on your level. So not for you. Yeah, with a fortune cookie, look, and this is all the chess pieces, and somebody's over here like overlording or overseeing things like that. And I feel like you have the ability to cut through the quick and really notice when people are game playing, what kind of games they're playing, and you're like not about it. You're like, yeah, this game sucks. And maybe you put your fortune cookie right in the middle of it. What does it say? Nope. Oh, it says nope. Does it really? It does. Look. That's hilarious. It does say nope. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. So I feel like in the end, people stare at you because they see that you can't be played. Okay, you've been around the block, you've seen things before, and you're not even excited about that. That doesn't like whet your appetite, doesn't draw your attention. Looking like the sexiest person in the room isn't something that's gonna really do anything for you. You're like, yep, okay, well, that's nice. But it's going to take a lot more in-depth, somebody who's like spiritually connected, or something that says, hey, I've done shadow work as well, right? In order for you to get that spark going. And people stare because they don't really know what they're observing, and they wonder like what kind of games you have experienced before and how you actually can pick them out, because you're a strategist. And the strategist is not about necessarily, in this case, like attaining anything. You're like strategizing not to be had, that kind of a thing. Yeah, the Jack of Spades right here. So somebody who's like super intelligent, hyper intelligence, but also you can defend yourself against if you need to. Queen of Swords came out in all 3 piles. So you guys are super smart, right? Super intelligent. You are with it. People, what are they thinking? They're thinking that you're really smart. Also, they want to get to your emotions, but they don't really know how. They feel like people, when they look at you at first glance and just on first observation without really initially discussing or talking to you, I feel like they think that you are, like your mind isn't necessarily here, that kind of a thing, and that you have to reel it back in order to, it's almost like you're vibrating so high. Oh, sorry, I just dropped the card. One moment, please. It's almost like you're vibrating so high that you need to come down, okay? And I was thinking, of course, because this is like an 18 plus, and so I feel like what they're thinking is, it's like you're so connected to spirit, but I would love to get to know you like on a personal. And also I feel like people wonder if they could relax you with a couple of drinks. Would you kind of come back down to earth and have your brain in the game? This game, the game of like the flesh and of you and me, of us talking and interacting, and would you be open if I kind of caressed your arm or your leg or other things, that kind of a thing. They wonder that, right? Yeah. And so we want clarity. People look at you and they're thinking, I wonder what, like, you seem really sharp. Would you be like to the point? I mean, this is because you seem to be someone who's like, okay, well, I got needs. Yes, no, that kind of a thing. Cut through the chase and just go, that kind of a thing. But with the 10 of Wands right here, it seems like also that at times you appear to be carrying the burden of the world. And people are really intrigued by that as well. So they wonder also if you would do the bulk of the work in the bedroom, and they want to let you know. I feel that's what they're thinking, but they're feeling like, they're like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna do my part, that kind of a thing. So you're welcome. Yeah. So we have the 10 of Swords right here. You could have had some massive endings, or you could be somebody who cuts people off without like a second thought. You're like, yep, next, done. Now serving 9,099. So with the number 8 of Clubs right here, 8 of Wands, this is about fast communication. They also want to know if there is a way to kind of take it from 0 to hero. And maybe if they had some drinks with you or loosened you up or did any other like substance with you, would you be open to it? Would you be, yeah, open to like a romantic encounter? The 9 of Hearts right here. And that tells me that you could be like, appear to be a wish fulfillment. When people look at you, they're like, wow, like, you guys are hot. You're good looking. You're sexy. You are intriguing as well. And I feel like there's something, because I'm looking at the Baroque pattern right here, something a little bit like classic, like edgy, I heard, but it could be a little bit, what is that word, like Victorian, like Gothic kind of a vibe as well. And yeah, and I feel like people feel like they could get really hurt by you, not deliberately that you're out to hurt people, but I think that they wonder, well, if, you know, because you're all about truth and you can speak truth, and that can cut to the quick. If they did get involved with you, or if you were to, quote, loosen up or whatever and have more to say, like, with them, people wonder if that would come back to, like, bite them, if it would be something that it would allow you to get too close to them. And maybe that would not be a good thing, because of all the shadow work that you do. You could be very close to spirit, and they're a little bit intimidated by what that can imply. Maybe it means that they're afraid that they might have to change. And it's not like you're thinking, oh, you have to change and do this to be with me. It's more of a spiritual connection, a spiritual thing. And sometimes when people are really connected to spirit, it could have some high implications that can cause the rest of us to run, right? So material and spiritual prosperity. You could have a connection to pile number 1, I believe. But also, I feel like people are feeling like you are very well off, like you're stable, you're connected, but also that your mind is a little bit mysterious and elusive and unattainable. Like they would have to work hard to get you and to get towards you. Another chaos and conflict. Yeah, people like want you. And I saw the card of like being all up in your head, that kind of a thing. People want you, and they have just like an idea of what they can do. But I feel like nobody really makes moves towards you or even talks to you, simply because they can get all caught up in their head. It's like, well, I really want this, but this person is not your average Joe. They're not your average Jane, right? And I don't really know what that means. And I'm a little bit out of my element. Look, this jumper card, financial and material changes. I feel like people believe, even this like ring is highlighted, even though it's like the opposite hand. I wonder if this is alluding to people wanting encounters with you, but knowing that there'd be a lot of changes, right? A lot of change in power, a lot of concessions. Well, who knows? Y'all might be going to ball game, eating popcorn and whatever it is. They are there as well. What also, I feel like the idea of like commitment and maybe like throwing in their lot with yours or vice versa, or like living arrangements and things like that, there would be a lot of changes and fluctuations. I feel like people that get involved with you romantically or not romantically know that their life is about to change one way or another. And I don't mean that ominously. I just feel like they intuitively know that you're kind of a game changer, a catalyst. And if they want to get close to you, they're going to be, you're a little bit like a riptide, right? Is that what it's called though? I think so. Anyways, but yeah, that tide can like pull you under, and it can overwhelm you. And I don't feel like you do it deliberately, but I just feel like that's the energy that you carry. Now I'm going to say, you guys, I always feel like you guys are the most that are really connected with spirit. I feel like you guys, because I'm feeling like spirit is around you, but not just spirit, like higher spirit, but I also feel like spirits that have crossed over. And I'm not just talking like ancestors. I'm talking about people who have just passed away or within the last couple of years, that kind of a thing. I feel like you can feel them, you can see them. If you're resonating with this, please do give me a like, share, comment, subscribe, because I feel like you might even look witchy and people wonder about that, and that's part of it. Okay. Is that intrigue? You look like edgy, you look witchy, but you're like unattainable, that kind of a thing. And I feel like movement, choices, and decisions. And right here, like, you know, this is uber spiritual. Like we think, look at all these, like you could have like a good time, or you know, this is like a 3-party romance. The people wonder if you would be open to like having another person, another flavor, right, in bed with you, that kind of a thing. But also they wonder what it would be like to be committed to you. They wonder what it would be like. What would you grow together? Like, you know, because any and every relationship has some kind of like a spark, whether it's like a, you know, one putting out the flame, or I don't know, but you can have any kind of a spark, and people serve as like catalysts or reflectors or whatever. And something is going to grow out of that, whether it's a great partnership or a struggleship, or a sense of wanting to pursue your own power so that you can really feel a lot more confident, whatever it is. I also feel like people, when they look at you, they wonder what kind of storm you bring with you, because everybody has a storm within them. The number 1515 just flashed on my camera right now. And I feel like you have a lot of options, and people know that you have a lot of options, and it feels like you're very clear. It's almost like they think that you're one of those people that you would pick, okay, I would commit to you. I would have fun with you, right? I would grow things with you, and then I would just like have a tussle and mess up my hair with you, that kind of a thing. I don't know, but I could be wrong. I just feel like when people look at you, that's what they're feeling, is they're kind of conflicted. They don't know what stage you're in or what they have to do to discuss to bring about any clarity as far as like where they would fit into these doorways. But also like movement, they wonder like what your movements would be, not only, you know, but also physically. They wonder how you would like move in bed. Would you be aggressive? Would you be passive? Would you be like a switch and change it up? That kind of a thing. Are you open and willing? What kind of a person are you? Would you walk through new doorways that you never would have walked through before? That kind of a thing. Or would you readily give up your power just for, you know, a fun time? That kind of a thing. So they want to know your angles. What do you look like at different angles? That kind of a thing. So people can look at you and actually fantasize and have those flashes, like intrusive thoughts, right, in their brain, where they're like, oh, I wasn't trying to think about that, but here we are uncomfortably thinking about it and looking at you right in the eye, that kind of a thing. So that could be happening to people. You could notice that people get a little bit like embarrassed or flustered, or start kind of like grooming themselves a little bit, like picking things off of their clothing or shuffling their feet, or kind of, you know, well, it's time for me to go, that kind of a thing. So you could make people definitely uncomfortable, even, I don't feel like necessarily deliberately, but just because I feel like you're in your head a lot. inadvertently, I feel like you can make people feel uncomfortable. What are they thinking? Look, yang, and exchanging gifts. So they could feel like they're your yin to your yang, or vice versa. They feel like they would like to offer some gifts. Yeah, exchanging gifts. They would even like to like dress up and masquerade with you. There's another face in this box right here. Maybe it's like playing dress up or role playing and things like that. But they wonder what kind of fire you would bring and what you are all about. They would love to get clarity on that, and have you be less mysterious to them. Let's just say it that way. So that's what I have for you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like this kind of reading. Also, please turn on your notifications. The YouTube gods have turned them all off 2 years ago. They had a reset, did a hard reset. So if you want notifications on my channel, please go back and double check that they are on, even if you did turn them on, because I will almost guarantee you they're almost all off. So it's been true for my YouTube feed, and it probably is for yours as well. So that's what I have for you. Much, much love to you guys. Until next time, namaste.